It's time for Pod of the Dead.
Hello and welcome to Pod of the Dead, the internet horror film club that nobody asked for. I am your host, Nicholas, and with me as always are the two final girls, Stephanie.
Hello.
And Natasha.
Hi, guys.
Today we are covering 2022's Terrifier 2 by popular demand.
Terrifier 2 is a 2022 American supernatural slasher film written, directed, edited, and produced by Damien Leone. This is a sequel to the 2016 Terrifier and is the second film created solely around Art the Clown and the third feature-length film to feature the character. It's the second installment of the Terrifier franchise, and it includes a return of David Howard Thornton and Samantha Scafidi, who portray Art the Clown and Victoria Hees, respectively, in the first film, and stars Lauren Lavera, Elliot Fullman, Sarah Voigt, among others. The plot follows Art's resurrection and pursuit of teenage Sienna Shaw and her younger brother Jonathan on Halloween night.
Yeah, so we got like more requests for this film than I think any film that we've done. And specifically I know that we've got at least one, maybe two, of they wanted to see what not our response to this film was, Natasha's reaction to this film. So, Natasha, what is your history with this film before we saw it?
I knew of The Clown, and I knew it was a movie I never wanted to watch. So thanks, guys.
Yeah.
How about you, Steph?
Kind of there, too. Like, I did not have any desire to see this film. It just wasn't, no.
I had seen the original one before this one ever came out, back during like COVID and stuff like that, lockdown, just kind of going through movies and everything. And I was whatever on the first one. There was some like notable scenes in it. Like, I think that's the big thing, is like there's scenes in here that you'll remember, you know. This one, I was like, I saw the runtime of it because it's like 2 1/3 hour. Yeah, way too long.
Yeah, way too long.
But we were on a flight from Ohio, or maybe it was Michigan. I can't remember where we flew out of, but to Washington. And I was like, well, I guess I got time to kill. I ain't gonna fucking do anything else. So I downloaded it on my computer and I watched it on a plane to Washington and had to move my screen towards the wall to make sure no stewardesses or anything saw this. So I had already seen the movie. When we'd originally gotten like a request for it, I just kept it on the back burner because I was like, there's no fucking way. Like, I know for a fact, like, I know Steph likes gore, but there's different styles of gore. And then Tasha is super not gore. And then another request. And then another request. And I was like, all right, guys, I guess we're covering Terrifier 2.
We did it.
We did our homework.
We fulfilled your guys' need.
Yep.
We specifically got a text message last night asking if someone could not finish. Who might that be?
I know.
I don't know who that would have been.
I think we also got a text that was 10 minutes in. Oh my God, I think I already hate this film. Or not even think. I think it was worded specifically, I hate this.
Yes. There was no thinking about it. It was, I hate this movie.
Yeah. So
pre-credits, I hated this movie.
Oh yeah.
Title sequence.
Yep. So this came out in 2022. What do you girls think its budget was?
We already knew it wasn't going to be a lot because this is like, that's kind of what it's known for, but I don't know what the budget actually is. I'm going to go with $1 million.
I think they used $1 million in blood alone. So I'm going to say $2.5 million budget.
This movie was made for $250,000.
Whoa!
Wow. Wow, that's impressive for that much stuff done.
So Damien Leone wrote it, directed it, edited it, and then all the special effects he just did out of pocket. Like he did out of like he just ate it was all just him. Like that's why like coming into this, my stance on this film when we get past spoiler territory is the way that it is. This movie isn't necessarily for me, but I can respect it for what it is. But yeah, so on that $250,000 budget, so like that's especially nowadays, that is insanely low of a budget.
Yeah, not a Void low.
Well, we don't know the exacts of the Void.
Yeah, that's true.
I wish we could figure out how much David Leone would have spent in special effects.
Oh, Damien Leone? Yeah. Like I can't imagine, like, honestly, because there are certain scenes in this film that are like this movie is 99% practical effects. There are basically like 2 different scenes that the CGI is there just to put like a person's eye on an animatronic. That's it. So that's everything else is in camera, like, which is crazy. Like, you know, so on its $250,000 budget, what do you girls think that it ended up making?
Did this go to like release?
It ended up actually getting a full release. It wasn't like in every theater or anything, but this was in theaters. Like
what?
This. Yes.
I'm gonna go with 25 million because I know everybody keeps talking about the shit. So
15 million.
This made $15.7 million, making it the most profitable film of 2022. So like on a $250,000 budget, like
and the difference between
so like just insane. So yeah, Art the Clown has basically become like this era's like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers and stuff like that.
How the times have changed.
How the turning tables have turned. But a little background, though, like Art debuted as a background character in Leone's directorial debut short film to test out different horror concepts. Audiences responded most to Art, leading Leone to develop the character into a recurring slasher villain over the next decade. Leone's idea of Art originated from his concept of a woman getting off of work and taking the city bus home, where a clown gets on and sits across from her, taunting her. He envisioned Art as a combination of being uncomfortable and comedic to viewers, but with the character becoming progressively more intimidating and aggressive. Art got incorporated into Leone's directorial debut short film, The Ninth Circle, in 2008. Merely as a background character. He said, "I threw everything, clowns, witches, demons, monsters, everything up against the wall, hoping something would stick." So this was like, he just like threw a bunch of shit into a short film. Like, he's a special effects guy, and he was like, "I'm gonna fucking throw all this stuff in," and people were like, the clown was fucking creepy. So like from there on, he did The Ninth Circle, then he did the Terrifier short film in 2011. Then there's like a film called All Hallows Eve that has like a short film of Art the Clown, and it's like an anthology kind of thing. Okay. And then that was in 2013. Terrifier came out in 2016, and it like got its groundswell on, you know, streaming services and stuff. And I would like to say like a lot of it is from like the COVID era, you know, 2019, because people are just fucking streaming. You just see this creepy clown face and you're like, what the fuck is this? And you watch it.
Something to watch. Yep.
You watch it.
At the bottom of the barrel.
You watch someone get hacksawed from their crotch to their face. And then that like got it to the point where Damien basically, it wasn't self-financed, but he got no help from any production company or anything. There was literally zero oversight, and he was like, you know what, people really like the first one, so I have to fucking go harder to not like to not
do you
in the sense of like a splatter film, like, because this is like, it is just an outlandish splatter film, which is it's super shocking to me when people talk about how like creepy or scary this movie is, because I don't know anybody that likes it because it's scary. It's always Art the Clown is ridiculous and holy shit. Like those are the two things I always hear. And I can appreciate that. Like obviously me being like the degenerate that I am, it's like, oh, I just look past anything being gross and I just look at it like, that's impressive that they were able to do these things.
Yeah. I just look at it as when you said that people just are like, holy shit, I wondered if they were like, holy shit, this movie is so bad.
No, because I think most people, like, if you really think about like slashers from the 80s and 90s and stuff like that, that's what this comes from. And I'm not talking like you girls instantly go to Scream. It's like Scream's not like this. It's like, no, think of like literally Jason Voorhees grabbing somebody in a fucking sleeping bag, picking them up with it and smashing them up against a tree. That absurdity is what Damien Leone grew up on. And he was like the absurdity, like that's the best way for me to describe this film. It's just absurd. It's barely meant to be taken seriously other than the craftsmanship on screen. Like, okay. I don't believe that he made this with like, oh, this is going to be this really intricate plot and stuff. It's like, all right, what are some of the worst things that I can do to a person and make a fucking clown do it? Yeah.
It look crazy, like absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So,
and that's the part that gets me is this is going to sound very prudish, I'm sure,
Ooh.
But like the extent to which somebody thought out these scenes, wrote it out on paper, took time is just it's too.
There is one scene specifically, and we'll get into it, that is set in a bedroom.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
They actually, how that ends up happening is they had it kind of figured out. And then like COVID started happening, lockdown started happening. So they're like, oh, we've got all this downtime. How fucking crazy can we go? And that's the scene they did it with. And that's the scene in this movie that instantly when this came up to the table, I was like, I wonder how they're going to react to the bedroom scene. Because I've seen a lot of shit. That is an insane scene.
It's insane, but it's also unrealistic, and that was what I disliked.
You kept saying that through the film, and this is what I kept saying back. This movie is about a fucking killer clown, not from outer space, a killer clown that is resurrected from the dead by who knows whatever reasonings.
That's fine for him.
Goes on causing all sorts of chaos.
Yeah.
I don't.
It starts out not set in reality.
Yeah, when I'm watching something like this, my brain is shut off. Like there is no trying to like make any sense of anything because this is a bloody popcorn movie. This is a fireworks show. The only thing that this is worth is the splatter and this is matter of opinion, the impressiveness of said splatter. If you don't like splattery movies, you don't like guts and gore, then you're just not going to like it. It doesn't matter how far on the spectrum that is. But if you're like, you know what? I fucking liked it when that face got caved in or whatever in a previous film. Okay, bet. Hold my beer. We're about to fucking see some shit.
Yeah, but I appreciate that stuff and I understand like the artistry behind doing all of that and like having to figure it out and make it look more realistic and like intentionally make it look realistic and all of that stuff. I get that. But to me, it is successful in the sense that they know what they're doing when they're making this film. I think there's only one time I watched in this film that I was like, well, that scene looks like really, really fake. Like I thought that part was very successful because some movies, when you see them, you can tell that it's like a rubber dummy or whatever they're doing. And I thought that they did a good job in this movie, not having that like be at the forefront. That being said, I didn't come into this movie other than the fact that just like when you're watching Mike Myers and stuff, like he's resurrected or whatever, you go into it thinking that you're living in a standard everyday world with a crazy son of a bitch who's doing crazy son of a bitch stuff. And all the characters are basically played out that way.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but also like the slasher trope of like everyone is dumber than they usually are. Like it's all these things. So
they're also teenagers in this.
Yeah, but they're teenagers in everything. They're teenagers in Scream. Everyone runs up the stairs, trips and breaks their ankle. Like all of that shit. So like for me, it's just like this is every fucking trope that slashers have had in fucking like 40 years, and then just took all of it and poured salt on all those wounds.
Literally.
And just made it as fucking gratuitous as possible. Because I guess this is the thing, right? This is how I look at it. I've got some like interviews with Damien and stuff about like how he came up with some stuff. But like how I look at it is, if you are trying, like you're a special effects wizard basically, even though he does not have like a lot of like notable points in his career of it. So he just kind of had this idea that was kind of getting a groundswell, and it's like, you know what's gonna fucking ruffle some feathers, get people talking, like, because there's no such thing as bad publicity in that sense, right?
Yeah.
As long as you're not doing harm to actual people, you know. So
Yeah.
he is now known as just like kind of the current god of gore in a way. Like, you know, it used to be Eli Roth, and you know, you can go way back in the fucking time of Herschel Gordon Lewis doing like, you know, fucking like blood-sucking freaks in the 60s and shit, and people were like, oh, that's so gross, because there was just blood on the screen. but like, that's the thing is, like, in that sense, it's the shock rock thing of it, just like, oh my god. And then someone, especially because Steph was talking about, like, this just seems like the movie that like 13-year-old boys would be like, oh my god, it's so fucking crazy. Guess what though? Those 13-year-old boys are gonna be like, Mom, can I have $20? And then they go fucking buy a t-shirt. And this movie has become, I don't have the numbers, but I would love to see what it's making on merchandising, because it's fucking everywhere. I see.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with it.
It's absurd considering how like undeniably violent this film is, and you see like kids running around dressed up like Art the Clown and shit like that. Now that being said, this is definitely, the Terrifier movies are the films that I have told Wesley that he's not watching until he hits high school. That's where it sits. Until that, like, Sydney's old enough, if she wants to go down that rabbit hole, she's more than welcome to. She's old enough to understand. But like, yeah, like, people love buckets of gore. And this has also kind of been coined as a renaissance in the anti-elevated horror. So if you like A24 and Neon and stuff like that, this ain't for you. Like, it's, you know what I mean?
Sense.
You know what I mean though? Like, that's what's great though about the horror umbrella, is the different strokes for different folks. You know, you're gonna find something, you know. So
That's true.
All that being said, on Rue Morgue's website, Damien Leone was interviewed and said, what do you think it is about the Terrifier films that appeal to horror fans? I thought this was pretty interesting. He said, by checking simple boxes that have always worked, right? You can allow yourself to have flaws in all other areas of the film, which Terrifier does have. 2 does as well. So he knows like that it's kind of, you know, they're very flawed movies, but you can check some crucial boxes in terms of, first and foremost for these movies, you need a very cool killer. He's got to look great. He's got to have a cool personality, and he's got to walk the walk. It all started with the image of Art the Clown and a new sort of fresh personality on the silent killer. And then it's all right. Let's make him a slasher now, and let's make him really stand out. Let's really deliver. Let's make kill scenes and gore that even these big name killers aren't dishing out, because that'll get him to stand out. That literally is the whole purpose.
Well, it worked. I mean,
I mean, when you're talking about $250,000 breaking in over 15 million, like, there are films that have made more money, but like, not because they like probably made people throw up in theaters.
Oh, wow. That actually happened?
Oh, you'd have to. It would have to have happened. I didn't read anything that happened, but you know for a fact that someone was just like, oh, this look crazy killer clown movie, whatever. And then literally in the first fucking 10 minutes, people are getting their fucking faces smashed in, eyeballs ripped out. Like, this movie is like literally foot on the gas, but it runs too long. And we'll get into that. We'll get into that in spoiler territory. But then, on Slash Films, they asked him, let's talk about those kills. What was the most unlikely ingredient you used in a kill? What's in there? And he answered with, we did something interesting this time around. What we used a lot of is just fat.
Okay.
So a lot of it is like animal fat.
Okay.
We know a butcher who would give us sausage casings, and then we'd fill them all with just fat to make intestines and whatnot. Tasha, I can see your face. We used that a lot. Or if we just got to dig into a body, we just you just see all this mush. But something cool that would happen is we'd mix the blood, put it into the blood pumps with big fat tubes that we were using. It would make the blood chunkier. And you see it a lot, especially in the scene where he's killing the coroner. You just see this chunky blood, and the fat is just so soft it can actually work through these tubes. Okay. There's one scene in particular I wanted the blood to look like blood from the 70s, like from Dawn of the Dead. And it was in the costume shop murder where he kills a dude behind a desk and decapitates him. So I wanted the blood opaque and it looked like paint almost. So I was putting powdered milk in it. I had to put a lot of powdered milk into the blood to sort of kill the translucity.
I don't like the chunky blood. No. What? No. There was just like this whole movie was just too much of everything. And like Steph had mentioned, I'm kind of like, I understand that it wasn't realistic, like Steph said, but on the same token, none of it looked realistic, I guess.
Yeah.
Like across the board. So all of it was just like, all right, like, can we move on? Like, it was just a lot of that. Yeah.
And that's why, like, I say, like, I look at this more as a resume for a special effects artist than a legitimate film. But, when people want something different, this is different, right? Like, in the popular movies, it's insane that this came out, was in theaters, it came out unrated too. Like that's like they didn't try to get a rating or anything. They just kind of they did like some small theaters, and then it got some groundswell. So then other theaters picked it up, and now we're here. So but
yeah, I couldn't imagine trying to get a rating for this. So yeah,
Terrifier 2 came out in 2022. Mm-hmm. And we've covered that year decently in horror. But it actually was the 11th highest grossing horror film for 2022.
Cool.
So outdoing Pearl, which we covered recently. So this movie made more money in box office than Pearl. But at number 11, then 10, working our way up, is X. We talked about this. Jaws got like a re-release, so that's on the list. Pray for the Devil, The Invitation, Barbarian, Halloween Ends, the Scream that came out that year, The Black Phone, Smile, and Nope. So those are the films. Right. So like 2022, in a way though, is considered one of like the benchmark years in this millennium for horror films, because I mean it's insane to like. Barbarian, Nope, Smile, Scream comes back, the X franchise starts, Terrifier 2. It's like it is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
But also, and we'll just touch on this, like I said, we've covered 2022 a lot. This year is like Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm definitely not going to cover the number one film that came out this year.
That's Avatar.
We all know what it is.
Because I don't want to talk about it anymore. So, yeah.
Yes, he doesn't want to give love to the movie that deserves the most love of that year.
God,
he'll do that on his Avatar podcast.
Yeah, he will.
My anti-Avatar podcast.
Yeah.
So, if this is your first time listening to us, as I stated at the beginning, this is a horror film club, internet horror film club. And basically what we do is we give out homework at the end of the episode. Sometimes it's listener requested films, just like today.
Yep.
And we go over it. So at the end of the episode, we'll give out homework, and we'll watch it collectively and come back next week to talk about it. If you have not seen Terrifier 2, it's currently on Peacock. You can probably find it elsewhere to rent and stuff like that. But it's pretty readily, shockingly easily available to find. But beyond this point, we're going to openly discuss the film. If you don't give a shit about spoilers, stick around. Now I'll give you this. This movie is not a narrative-driven film. So if you know, if you know that Art the Clown is a crazy killing clown and it's gross and gory and stuff like that, you're not going to miss anything by listening to the spoilers. Even when we talk about the kills in this film,
Right.
You have
that
to
does
see
not
them.
do it justice.
Sure
This
it won't.
movie is.
Sure.
This movie will make the deaf wish they were blind. So,
Oh my God.
so
You're ridiculous.
without any further ado, we are going to kick back and, get into Terrifier 2.
If you'd like to be part of our horror film club, make sure to follow us at Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Pod of the Dead. All of our episodes can be found at podofthedeadorelse.com or wherever you stream music and podcasts. If you have movie recommendations or questions for us, email us at podofthedead666@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Or else.
All right. So this week, I'm changing it up a little bit because I already know what your girls' take is on this movie. Okay. So I felt it was only proper to give you girls both a 10 out of 10 and a 1 out of 10 to read.
Okay.
So what I'm going to have you guys do is I want you to read your 10 out of 10s first, and then we'll go into 1 out of 10s.
Okay.
So, girls, give me those 10 out of 10s that you wrote on this film.
Yep. Tasha, you can go first with our
Nope.
lovely. Okay.
Not gonna do it.
Okay, fine.
I refuse. I quit this podcast.
Okay.
I will read all of the 1 out of 10s.
Okay. 10
right,
10 out of 10. The Terrifier is a breath of fresh air that from overdone CGI crap. Art the Clown is a real deal slasher who never holds back and somehow manages to make me laugh while making me cringe. The makeup effects are so well done, it's hard to tell that they are fake. Every single character brings something special to the movie to make it complete. And the best part about this Terrifier is we get to meet a new partner in crime. I will never look at the mashed potatoes the same way ever again. This was definitely the best horror movie of 2022, and in my opinion, the last 10 years. Art the Clown for president.
All right. So,
Wow.
Barbarian came out this year, and you like this more than Barbarian. That's impressive. I thought you really liked Barbarian, but you know what? All right.
Yep. Sure.
I don't agree with anything that this says, but I will read it.
Then why did you write it?
Didn't. I was
Lies.
in clearly the wrong state of mind.
Yes.
This happened in a dream.
Yes.
Did not have my faculties. Gore reminiscent of Reanimator. A score that pulls the strings of nostalgia, focusing on the 80s. What's not to love? Art the Clown is also a lot more animated and funny in this film than in the previous two. This is by far the best in the series. Okay. I made an account just so I could come and give this a 10-star rating to boost it up. I'll be recommending this one to anyone I know who loves horror. That's a bad idea. The camera cinematography has a nice sort of filter applied to the entire film, as well as gives it more of a retro / nostalgia feeling. I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first, but it really made the movie more enjoyable for me.
Well, that's wonderful, girls. We usually do our reviews at the end, but man,
Yeah, no, I'm going on to the 1 out of 10.
I
Excuse
don't
me.
know.
Oh, you just got to butt in and give some 1 out
yeah,
of 10?
yeah, because we need to clear this out of the fucking
Palate
thing.
cleanser.
Yes,
Yeah.
excuse us and ignore those. Okay, 1 out of 10. I rated this a 1 star because I can't rate it lower. I've seen some gore fests in my time when it comes to movies, but this is just mindless, gratuitous gore. Never have I ever seen a film using gore and graphic mutilation the way this does, and in such an amateurish way. The lack of any kind of story really gives nothing here to shout about. You'd have to be a die-hard gore splatter fan to appreciate this, but its heinously violent scenes of depravity, human and animal mutilation, and up-close shots are there only for a cheap thrill and the shock factor. It's filmmaking at its worst, deplorable, despicable, and totally unnecessary. Avoid. Choose something that is actually watchable instead of this trashy attempt at a horror movie.
I don't buy that.
And I'm just gonna piggyback on what Steph said and continue.
Okay, good.
Book
Honestly,
2, The Chamber of
so
Secrets.
so ridiculously cringy and dumb. Acting, awful.
Yes.
Storyline, dreadful.
Yes.
The gore scenes are so dramatic for no reason. It's almost like watching a parody of a horror movie, except it goes on for too long.
I agree with that.
The plot makes absolutely no sense. The acting is horrible, and there is literally no coherent plot.
Yep.
It was an actual job just to finish the movie, and I could not wait for it to end. Despite every single character in this movie, I despised every single character in this movie and could not care less about what happened. The ending was insufferable. Terrible acting, terrible script, terribly long, just terrible in every way. Avoid.
Yeah.
I can't believe that you would say that after you said such nice things about this film, Natasha.
Yeah, this movie is a hard one for me. It's because I want to appreciate when somebody creates art, but just because somebody creates art doesn't mean, and literally art, because we're talking about a clown
Art
here.
the Clown.
Yeah, but like when they create all of it, but even when they do that, I just, no. Gosh, no. Like
the big thing for me in this film, since we're talking negatives, right? The big thing in this for me is its fucking runtime. There is absolutely no fucking reason this movie needs to be over 2 hours. None whatsoever.
None.
And you can tell that this is, he didn't have anybody over his shoulder telling him, hey man, cut this down a bit. He just he had it in his head and he just busted it out. And you know what? More power to him in that sense, but I'm hoping with the third one that he's gotten some notes on that and they trim the fat, like no pun intended, on this film. Because that's the number one thing I thought of, like coming into this. I was like, oh my God, like it's one thing for a movie to be a splatter film. You know, you girls have seen some shit and everything. We've watched Dead Alive and all that stuff.
We have.
And that movie's like an hour and a half, you know, like little, maybe a little less, a little more, you know, right in there.
I think Dead Alive is 2 hours long.
It may have felt like it because that first half.
The beginning takes forever. I'm looking it up because I'm pretty sure I'm right. Okay, go ahead.
But this movie is like 2 hours and 20 minutes. And it has like, now Tasha, I don't think you did. Did you watch the like mid-credit scene?
At the end.
Mid-credit scene.
Yeah, so the credits
roll at the end. No.
Yeah, see,
I think I shut it off as soon as they hit. That was enough.
I assumed.
There's more?
Yes, and it's not like a short scene either. It's like another 5 or 10 minutes in the credits. But Chris Jericho's in that. Chris Jericho, the wrestler's in that, and he's like...
I was wondering where he was throughout the whole movie.
He was at the end credit.
I saw him in the credits at the beginning.
Yep, he's like working at like a insane asylum kind of thing, and the girl with the mutilated face from the TV thing gives birth to Art the Clown's head. It's like what fucking happens in it, and it's super bloody, super gory.
Yeah. Of course she does.
Why not, right?
Yep.
But like if this movie were an hour 45 and they
or
just
less.
No, I'm saying like I get the fact of wanting to like really try to flesh out the story that he's trying to build here, which I think I know what he's doing. It is super obtuse and everything, because like what I gathered from what is given to me, I came up with this the first time I watched it, so like watching it this time, I didn't fucking gather anything else. I think it's alluding to the fact that Art the Clown is their dad, is what I gathered from it. And he's on this killing rampage, and Art, something like through their bloodline or whatever, right? Art the Clown sees the pale girl, and only those two, his kids, are the ones that can also see the pale girl. No one else can see her through the whole film. So that's literally the narrative drive of this film, and it's so haphazardly done. Again, though, nobody is watching this thinking it's going to be Rosemary's Baby or whatever. They go, oh, dude, it's so gross. This is literally... Okay, so Maya saw this film, and it was literally with a bunch of dudes that were like, oh, I heard it's so gross. We're going to watch it. Maya, I bet you can't get through this film. Blah. That is what this movie is.
It's a dude bro movie.
It is totally like, oh my God, when that fucking, like, when he like ripped out that girl's face and like, and I sit here going like, that looked really good. But like at the same time, where's my like story? But then like, all like, it's one of those things like, okay, if you're going to make if you're going to make this movie 2 hours and 20 minutes, I'm expecting a story. I'm not expecting false ending after false ending, more and more gore, and it just keeps going. That's the thing. Like this movie 100% makes me feel like Tasha, where she says, I've gotten to a point where I'm just kind of wore out seeing the gore, because it's yes, the gore scenes in it and the way Art is reacting to it, like being like, check this out, is funny. Like I can appreciate those scenes. Every single gore scene in this movie, I can appreciate. I do like to an extent here and there. It's all the shit in between is literally grueling to watch. There is, outside of Art, there is one good actress in this film personally, and that's our female lead.
I agree.
Everybody
else is terrible.
It's the son. Oh my fucking God. With his goddamn giraffe neck.
Stand him.
The mom.
His voice and his whining. Oh, the mom was just angry for no reason.
Steph cheered when she got her fucking head blown off.
I was like, finally, stop screaming all the time. Like, literally, every fucking adult in this movie, and this is what I hated about it, every single adult, like anybody in the power of authority, was a fucking asshole. Like, over and over. All the teachers randomly mean all the time for no fucking reason. Like, there's no warranted behavior for it. The mom, the same thing. Like, she's shitty just to be shitty all the shitty time. And then her son runs out of the fucking house because she doesn't believe him, and then she goes and pops some pills and drinks some wine instead of like taking care of her kid after their kids have lost their father and all this stuff's going on. It's like, this is fucking no. Like, that was terrible.
It's one of those things where it's like the writing is amateurish. Yeah. Super amateurish.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think that he's trying to say that, like, and this is by no means, I am not here to sell you girls on this film whatsoever. Yeah. It's not gonna happen. I tried to keep this from the gates for so long, but Art the Clown, god damn it, needed to happen.
Apparently.
Right? But I can't, like, it's no different than like the Rob Zombie films from yore, right? It's nobody, like, well, there are some people, but like for the most part, people are just like, they're fucking crazy, man. It's fucking nuts and all that shit. That's what this film is. It's just like the evolutionary progression of like House of a Thousand Corpses and stuff like that. And it comes in waves. Every single time you get movies that are like, let's just say it this way, right? Every time horror starts to get more intellectual, it then takes a sharp trajectory to being just grotesque. And then once the populace gets sick of that, it starts to get more intellectual. And it does that. It's no different with music and stuff. You know, you see hair metal, then grunge, then new metal. Then, you know, it just does that because people get sick of this. And then as people get older and things like that, you know, people like are more nostalgic for things. So realistically, like, we hadn't had an insane gory film in theaters in a while, and you kind of hit when the iron's hot, and that's what you get. Again, not for everybody, but
no. And like, we're talking about the plot here, and this is my take on the movie. So I know that he wants to just show his talents in special effects, so that's what you're expecting out of this. Art the Clown doesn't, I mean, he's a good actor for being silent acting, like realistically. There are a few scenes like the leg eating stuff and things like that is absolutely fucking dumb. Like, that was unnecessary. It just added an extensive runtime to the movie. Like, that scene itself was like 5 minutes long. It was way too fucking long.
Yeah.
But I felt like the narrative of this movie was like he was trying to build a storyline to make it make sense for this character of this girl, to the point that we have like this book that has color painting shit that their father did because he was an artist, and like all of this stuff is all built up, and you get all of these little pieces, something about a picture of her in the same fucking costume that she just randomly made with a sword.
No, she specifically made that because it was her dad's character. I just want to step in front of that train. It wasn't happenstance. She literally is saying, this is the character Dad used to draw for me when I was a kid.
Okay, yeah, well, okay, so there's that. But then it has her standing in this drawing thing with holding a sword like she's the savior and like all this stuff. So it's like premonition shit. And like and then her going into this weird dreamland when she goes to sleep, and then this weird fucking stuff happens, and then her bedroom catches on fire. Like, technically, I don't believe that this movie was like, well, I'm just gonna throw a bunch of shit together, because that's Mike Myers, 100 fucking %. You watch most, not all, Halloween movies, and all those movies are just like bad dude killing people, not much plot. This movie intentionally tried to build one.
When you start getting into like Halloween 4 and stuff, they tried to, like, you know, like it's always just the mystery of Michael Myers is just evil and he's killing things, right?
Yes.
By the fourth one, after it's been like established that, then they're like, oh, he's part of this cult and all this stuff, and they tried to build this backstory, and that's kind of what this film is. The first short film, and then this and everything, and then Damien's kind of like, well, I mean, I could just make it more of the same, but let's try and flesh this out.
No, you probably should just
didn't work.
No, because it makes you sound and then this sounds terrible, because I'm not dogging on the fact that he created all this and that's amazing, but at the same time, that doesn't make this movie feel intelligent. It makes the movie feel worse, because you could have just had this guy that's on the loose, that's a killer that people are afraid of, or that they heard he's coming back, and then just like in Fuck the Scream and shit, and that's it. Like, you don't have to build this really long narrative that you're trying to build, that literally it's like gore scene, then a very long extensive piece of time that just draws out, and there's like the fucking high school scene with the girls like standing there talking, and the one girl that has the most like stereotypical attitude and like, what are you looking at, and like all that stuff going on, like the whole time I'm just like, why are we doing this? Like, that scene could have been a minute and a half. It was like 5. It didn't exactly, but even if you needed it, you could have taken it and you could have cut it down and like just completely, and that's where this movie really fails. I 100% believe that I could have gotten past the fact that it was just dumb, if the fact that they had cut this movie down at least a half an hour and just cut out the unnecessary bits and pieces. Like, you have to trim the fat legitimately 100%. In certain movies, and this was terrible for that. This
movie seems like two movies worth of ideas jammed into one movie. Like, that's the thing. Like, this movie could have been like, that's why I was saying, like, you're saying a half hour, that puts us at around that 2 hour 45 minutes. At least you can cut all that stuff. You don't have to have all of these kills in there. You can hold some for the next one, which there is a third one coming out.
Great.
You don't have to watch it, people. Okay, listeners at home,
please don't make me.
But like, that's my thing with it. I just like keep watching it. I'm like, it's weird. I wonder if Tasha, if you had this, and Steph, same as you, if like when it finally hit the gore scenes and stuff, you're like, at least finally something's like going on. Even if you don't like the gore, the gore is literally like a reprieve from the grueling exposition and pointless dialogue. And like, and it's not that it's pointless. Like they are trying to prove a point. It's just that it's so antagonistic all the fucking time. And just really like, if you did a supercut of this and cut out everything that was talking and then just package it together, and then he just sent that to fucking like Quentin Tarantino and was like, hey, you want to produce a horror film for me? I know you did it for Eli Roth. That's how we got Hostel. That's what he should have done. That realistically, that's what he should have done. But instead we got this. It made a fuck ton of money. So I'm wrong. Like I am, like, if we're looking at it from purely business and purely pop culture, there is no pop culture horror icon since Ghostface that has had so much of an impact in the horror scope. Yes, there are more popular films, you know, the Conjuring franchise. I take that back. Jigsaw from the Saw franchise.
You also have Sam that's part of all that stuff now too.
Nowhere near as popular. You don't see, like, yes, you see Sam stuff right now.
Yeah.
Terrifier 2 came out and shirts were fucking everywhere instantly. Oh yeah, I know.
That's
what I'm talking about.
That. Yeah, I agree.
So like that kind of shit like is unheard of. So I don't know what it is about him. I think it's just people wanted a new slasher, and goddamn it, they got one.
Yeah. What do you got, Tasha? What do you got for us? That's this movie was for you, so I mean that was the whole point.
And that's
of this.
the thing, like my face while you guys are talking was legitimately me the entire movie. And Nick, you mentioned like how did I feel about like the like thank God something's happening. I didn't. It was just like here we go again. And like the first one was bad. The first kill was bad, and at that I was like, okay, great. If it's, based on how slashers go, they're only going to get worse the further the movie goes. And by the time the bedroom scene happened, the first set of it where she's like screaming and crawling, at that point I'm just like, all right, now we just want to listen to a woman scream. Like this is getting absurd to the point of like I was getting genuinely frustrated with how far it was going. And then the mom comes in and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like that was just, I will say that was the one disturbing component of it, because that's when my mind went outside of the movie and went to, somebody wrote this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that was just, I don't know how people's minds can get to that extreme of like, okay, and now let's do this and let's do this.
It's 100%. It's not one person. Like, correct. Yes, he wrote this, right? But just because he's the writer does not mean that he's not talking to someone. Because the man, his name is not in front of me right this second, but the guy who played Art the Clown did a lot of help, or gave a lot of help in like fleshing. David Howard Thornton gave a lot of help in direction of how Art would act and stuff like that, and how this stuff like really like fleshed out the character in the sense of like how he would act and things, right? So my thought process is that it's literally a one-upsmanship of, it'd be fucking crazy if this happened. Yeah. And then they sit on that conversation, and then like a day later he texts like, but then like he brings in the bleach and the salt and it's like, that's fucking crazy, dude. And then
let's make her still alive.
Yes.
Like,
which that makes no fucking sense.
That's not.
It's not a thing. It's not. She's on the floor. Like, this is literally, we're watching this movie and I'm sitting next to Nick and she's like, she's missing an arm at this point, and she's got like razor blade stuff on her head, whatever he's done to her.
He scalps her.
Yeah, all this
rips
stuff.
Off half of her face.
Yeah. All
and
the
like
things.
Her arm.
Broke her arm.
Everything.
Ripped her skin off. I don't.
Yeah, but her arm is completely missing, and she's like crawling around and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's not a thing. She would already be dead. I'm like,
maybe he's using his evil powers to keep her alive to suffer more.
No,
I don't know. I'm trying to give you logic because that's what you want out of a splatter film.
It doesn't make any sense. Well, all the other kills in this movie made sense to me. This was the only one that made absolutely no sense, because I was like all of them actually
like the
had
dick
like
stabbing scene.
Yeah, 100% made more sense.
What'd you think of that one, Tasha?
I mean, he literally.
It was another like All right. I knew as soon as the guy went out to go pee that he was going to get his dick cut off. Like I saw that one
They
coming.
zoom in and they're like,
and then when he like smeared it across the window, it's just like, I don't care. I don't need to see this.
It's bloody fart jokes, the movie.
Yeah, I honestly was kind of happy about that because realistically, the whole movie is about murdering women, except for the one guy that pissed him off in the comic.
We talked about this. There are a lot. The coroner's a man. The boyfriend's a man.
I know, but it doesn't come across. It doesn't come across that way to me.
And I agree with Steph. The way that the women die is a lot more extensive than the way the men die.
Yep.
There's a lot of screaming coming from the women, and there's not nearly as much coming from the men.
Yep.
I don't agree with that at all, because the coroner scene at the very beginning, if you'd like to go back and watch it, Tasha, feel free to. That, to me, is one of the grossest, like, reactive scenes other than the bedroom scene, because the bedroom scene is just so long. The coroner scene, though, is just like how he's just like, and he's like ripping his eye out and all this stuff and just beating him and all that. It's fucking gross. Like, I remember, like, just watching it last night and just, like, sitting there and just be like, oh, yeah. I remember some scenes. Like, I remembered the bedroom scene. Mm-hmm. And I remembered the bathroom scene where her girlfriend gets her chest cavity smashed in and he rips her heart out and eats it. Yeah. Those are the two scenes that I remembered. Like, remembered. The rest of them, because there's so many, once we get into the scene, I'm like, oh yeah, the fucking Halloween store attendant is about to get his head ripped off. And
that was actually kind of cool.
So
and that was
worse.
Funny. Yeah, that was actually funny. Like, the scenes that I felt that were the most successful in this movie were the scenes where there was actual humor that made me laugh. Like the scene where he's in there and she's feeling uncomfortable and he takes her purse and he slams it on the counter. Funny. That was so clever. Him wearing fucking flower glasses, all that shit. Fucking hilarious. Uncomfortable, but funny.
Super, yes.
Yes. When he goes to buy the horn. And then he's pulling out his bag's got fucking all kinds of shit in it, and the guy's giving him shit. You're like, you already know he's gonna off him, right? Yeah. But it was like, this is funny, like this is humor. And then he shuts the thing, brings the guy, cuts his head off. He uses it like for this kid that looks in as like a prop thing.
I love that scene.
I did
where
too.
He's like showing the head, and then the kid walks off. He's just like, fuck this, and just tosses the head.
Yeah,
I love that part of the movie.
That was funny. Like, there were certain scenes, like the mom, when like all the gratuitous woman killing stuff, and then where it's not possible, she wouldn't be talking to her. They would have been more successful if the woman in the bedroom was dead when the mom came in, and he was using her back of her head like in Killer Clowns and was talking through her head. That would have been way more
talk. He doesn't
talk. No, he doesn't have to say anything. He could just move her mouth and whatever, and then he could push his fingers through her or something and make that way more fucking successible.
You're making it worse.
No, but I am just making it more realistic.
Damien Leone, if you need someone to help write Terrifier 4, get a hold of Stephanie. Send us an email at podofthedead666@gmail.com. She's got ideas for days, it sounds like.
I write, okay, so I do write, I write torture scenes in my books that I write. So like, I have thoughts. I don't write any of this shit. Like, I don't torture women, first of all, but like all of this. But yeah, to make it realistic, there's no way she would have been alive. If you wanted to make it more entertaining, you could have done it this way and made it more realistic. Then he could have offed the mom, because that brain scene where the kids are going to get the candy out of the head, fucking brilliant. I loved that. I thought it was so smart. Like, those were the scenes that I was like chuckling to myself and shaking my head at the same time, going, I can't believe I'm fucking watching this movie. But at the same time, I'm like, that is comedic genius when you're adding it. The other stuff, when you're getting into the killing scenes and they're just extending and extending and extending, it's like, it's not because it's too much for me to take. It's because it becomes boring. You become desensitized to the gratuity of it. Yeah. And it, like, bedroom scene, if you cut it in half, let's just say that. Yes. You just cut it in half, it works better. You cut this movie in half, it does better. That's this is what I was specifically telling Steph when we were watching it, after we were watching it. I'm going to see the third one when it comes into the theaters. It comes out this October. Right. I know that you're not going to. I'm hoping that he got notes on that stuff, and it's a tighter, better version of it, because I can see
You can see like the training wheels getting put on, taken off. Like you can see someone working. It's very interesting. You guys haven't seen the first one and everything. The first one's shorter, and this one's longer because it's more gratuitous. It's bigger. It's more verbose.
He's trying to build more of a narrative, I think.
Yes,
too,
and
probably.
it's one of those things where, like, you know, there's got to be notes coming to him. It's like, well, maybe if you cut this stuff out, it would actually be a better movie. And he's just like, okay, right on. Let's do that. Let's fucking do this. You know, because he hasn't been able to talk about it and everything. But Sam Raimi, creator of the Evil Dead franchise, right, is producing a new movie that he's not allowed to talk about, that Damien Leone is going to be making. So like, it's one of those things that, like, Evil Dead is a splatter masterpiece, you know, and this is in that same lane. But if Evil Dead, like we covered Evil Dead 2, if Evil Dead 2 were 2 hours and 20 minutes long, we wouldn't talk about it.
It doesn't overstay its building of a narrative either. It literally is just like Necronomicon. This is what it's bringing back. Now we have to deal with the shit. Like there's no anything beyond
Boom,
that.
bang,
That is
pow.
all you fucking need. And then you get all the little pieces of all the little characters that fit into that narrative. That is all you need for movies like this.
You don't need to try and make Art the Clown fucking Hereditary.
No, exactly. It's what it feels like. Yeah, it's like it is.
And then turning it into like an action or like a superhero movie at the end.
Exactly.
With her like radiating
Wonder
light
Woman.
I don't even know what was happening.
Very Wonder Woman.
Yes,
I thought that
very
like when
Wonder
she's
Woman.
in the water scene and stuff.
Yes.
And yeah, that whole, I was so wrong, Steph. I am so sorry. When they get, like, when she steps into the carnival, like the haunted house thing, she's like, how much longer is in this film? I was like, I think there's like 30 minutes left. That has got to be another 45 minutes at that point.
Yeah, it was so...
Because it just, like, does not end. It just keeps going.
That's the worst part of the film, realistically, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, there are parts, like, that it should have been cut, like the high school scenes and that stuff. And even the possum, like, the whole narrative of the son being creepy and the possum, like, none of that was necessary to build the storyline.
You can literally just take the brother out of this movie 100%.
Yes,
Granted, the brother has great musical taste because his bedroom is covered in King Diamond posters and Arsis and Metal Blade. It's all just metal band posters everywhere. And I'm like, hell yeah. The character, though, is completely pointless. You could cut that character out. Granted, he's basically the MacGuffin. It's like, oh, well, Art the Clown's going to take the kid. Now we get the girl to come save the kid. There's so many different ways that you could have written this narrative.
You could have had it where it's Halloween and they were all drunk and they decided to go fuck around at this fucking place, or like some guy, he kidnaps her instead and takes her there and she wakes up and she's got to get free. Like there's a whole lot of stuff you could have done.
If we take the brother out, we literally could have just had Art the Clown come into the fucking club that they're at.
Yeah.
You know, cause problems. Everyone runs out, but then our main cast is stuck in there dealing with Art the Clown. And that's kind of what happens in the first one. Is just like they're just stuck in this fucking area and Art the Clown's fucking killing people. That's all you need. Like, you don't need a fucking, like, I don't know, like, trying to make this more than it needs to be.
And you don't need all of the dream sequences either. That seemed unnecessary.
Super
and when
overlong too. Like the dream sequence where,
oh my god, yes.
That scene could have been cut in half. It's all that stuff. Every single time something happens in this movie, and for me, it's not because of the gratuity of the violence.
Nope,
it's just we're sitting here for way too fucking long. We don't need to hear the fucking like clown cafe song for fucking 5 minutes.
Right.
Like, these are the things that, like, it definitely would bode well for him to have some oversight that's not going to fucking step on his style. Make it as gory as you want. Make it gorier. I don't care. Right. But somebody's got to be like, hey, man, I don't think that we need to have the mom just be a bitch in the kitchen, non-fucking stop slapping her kid upside the head.
You could have gotten rid of her too. You could have had this a girl whose mom was like one of those, like, she's so depressed, she lives in her room and she just stops by to see her mom occasionally, and her mom's like an alcoholic, and then could have basically completely cut her out. You're talking about the mom from Nightmare on Elm Street. Well, there you go. I'd never seen that movie, but that's what you could do.
You've never seen Nightmare on Elm Street?
No.
Neither have I.
Oh my fucking god. Guys,
Tasha,
we're almost
shouldn't have
50
said
episodes
this.
in.
We're gonna watch it.
Apparently.
Guess
I've
what
never
we're doing
seen
in
it.
October? I gotta change
Shit.
some things. We're watching the
okay.
original. Well, then shut your fucking mouth and I won't put these things on.
I know. I
You just
shouldn't.
feign
It's one that
ignorance.
I
Oh
want
yeah,
to watch.
yeah, I
Okay.
totally watch it. It's got Johnny Depp in it. You'll love it.
I know it does. I've heard about it,
How
but I have
the
not
fuck
seen it.
Are we almost 50 goddamn episodes in and you tell this to me now?
I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Both of
That's
you.
one of them.
Both
Yeah,
of you.
Yeah.
I know. We hadn't seen Evil Dead 2 either until you made us watch it.
Freddy is far more like Freddy is
No.
the fucking Art the
The
Clown
only-
of the 80s.
The only Freddy movie I have seen is Freddy versus Jason. That's the
Oh my
legitimate
God.
only one I've seen. And that one I was okay. It was okay. So anyway, sorry.
I'm
But
done throwing my temper tantrum.
You're fine. But they could have taken the mom out and we wouldn't have to deal with her being a bitch. We wouldn't have to worry about her kill scene. We wouldn't have to worry about anything with her as a character.
Her kill
And that would
scene's
have cut
great,
out.
though.
It is because you're like, yeah, she's finally gone. But like that scene, what? Oh, we're going to have these people come in. And that was another thing that didn't make any sense. And this is actually makes sense where you're talking about that it has to be the dad because this is the only reason why. So she says earlier in the film, park the car in the garage because the kids like to fuck with the car during Halloween and they like to do all this, like they like to put toilet paper and eggs or whatever on the car. The car's in the garage. The car still gets Halloweened and pumpkined. She thinks it's the son because she's just thinking he's out to get her. We all know that it was Art doing his little mischievous shit and he ends up being in the car, blows her head off with a gun. So it means he killed his wife. And so like, and he did all this because he wouldn't have known that was taking place if he hadn't been somehow associated with that whole family, because that wouldn't have been a thing, because then it would have had to been the son, because that would have been as a one-off. That makes no sense. So it definitely has to have that somehow, that connection. Still unnecessary, but still there. So
I love watching him like feed the mom mashed potatoes. I'm sorry. Him feeding the mom mashed potatoes is the funniest part of this movie outside of the sunglasses scene and the bag. Anytime that he's like, hold on 1 second, getting into my bag, or give me candy, all that stuff is hilarious. But then like, if you're talking about like the gore scenes, the one that makes me laugh is him just smashing the mashed potatoes into her face. I laugh every single time.
That was the time when I texted you and said, can I just DNF this? It was at that moment. It was just like, I can't physically do any more of this. And like we've said before, it wasn't because like I was getting a churny stomach or anything. It was just like, it just keeps going.
It's way too long. It is a marathon.
Yeah. And the best kill for me in the movie was the one in the bathroom scene with the friend. So like not the whole like him eating her heart scene, but like him like beating her up and the way that it went. And then he used that thing and he hits her in the chest and her chest caves in and blood spurts out of her mouth. And the way they have that angled, which is from the top, I loved the whole scene in that sense. Like I thought it was very clever. The bathroom was very gross and you know, like it was just grimy. Art was here. Yeah. I loved all of that. That kind of set the stage a lot better. But like out of all the kills, that was the only one that actually really also felt like a standard slasher movie kill in this movie, in the sense of just like, she's there, I'm going to beat the shit out of her and kill her. And then there's a bunch of blood. And like, it didn't feel like he was going out of his way because she was already there. Yeah. So
because he rips her out of the car, she runs and he makes chase.
Yeah, that felt very like Michael Myers-esque in that sense. Except it was a lot more gory, but yeah.
And she does a really good job. Like she's super annoying everything up until that part in the movie. Like she slips her Molly and all this stuff and just like a really fucking shitty friend. But like her reaction to Art in that scene and stuff is probably some of the best acting in the film in my book, because it's literally like, that is probably, I don't know if that's from direction, I don't think it's direction. I think it's just her ability to act scared and shit. It was really effective because like all the other times it's like when the mom shows up to the bedroom scene and she's fucking like ripped apart, it's just very like it's so bad. But like hers is like legitimate terror and that works really well. So it's one of those like fine lines of like, I wouldn't want this movie like to be more serious. I think what it does well is being cheesy and campy, but then just all the gore. And that's, I think, if this were to be a darker, like trying to be scary, I don't think it would have worked. That's where, like, I think it's that weird fine line that it found of just being like out fucking landish.
Yeah, I agree. But the pointing and laughing thing with this with the characters, like, haha, look what I did, pointing and laughing at shit. Yeah. That just felt very dude bro, 13-year-old teenage boy to me. So like that kind of stuff. I
didn't care for that.
No, I was like,
if it's the dad, he's got a brain tumor, so like maybe that has something to do with it. He drove into an electrical thing and caught fire. It totally is the dad. People can hear him screaming from a year away. Now he can't fucking speak. Yeah, it's all that. He's wearing white makeup and a face.
But his skin's not burnt.
It's all. Oh, that's right, because he's naked. And you get to see that little clown booty at the beginning. Did you like that, Tasha? See, there's another guy that gets murdered with the fucking stick through the head. You didn't like that clown booty? No.
Yeah, and that was another scene at the beginning that was unnecessary. Like the cleaning thing was funny. Right. But then we got introduced to the pale girl, right?
Yep.
And then she, instead of just her waving, and they could have just left it, and then they could have played patty cake, and that would have been fine. They decide to have weird shit fall out from underneath.
I think she shits all over the floor.
Yeah,
that's what I read it as.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like pissed. Yeah.
I was like, what? Why?
And that's like,
why was this necessary?
I think that's the evil entity that has brought her back or brought him back. I think that's what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Because for all of the narrative they try to give you, the shit that matters, they don't talk about. But like the little pale girl played by Emily McLean was originally going to be more of an Italian horror / Edgar Allan Poe inspired girl wearing a sundress with flowers. However, after the success of Terrifier, Damien saw pictures pop up of people dressing up as Art the Clown for Halloween, including several women and little girls. He knew he had to do something with this, so the girl was redesigned as a small girl version of Art. So that's where we get that. Yeah. It was going to be more of like a gothic horror kind of entity.
So she wasn't. So here's maybe my take of what he's trying to do. This is just where my brain goes as a writer. So she wasn't in the first movie, I'm assuming. Okay, so she was just introduced into this one.
Correct.
Okay, so we are attached to this family, the only people that can see it. Maybe the narrative is like they had a child, the child died, or something happened, and whether that was like born or whatever, him and his wife. And this is the reincarnation, like that. So it would see its siblings, and it would be with its dad. You know what I mean? Like maybe there was something like weird or off about the child.
I get that. I think it's just literally like this is the demon that resurrected Art, and it's taking on the guise of Art in just a weird, smaller form, and that's about it. Like
randomly the kids can still see it.
Yeah, I don't.
That's what I don't know.
And this is all narrative.
And then if she resurrected him, then why don't we see her at the beginning in the coroner's office? Why do we have to wait for them to meet?
At the very end of the first one, he is resurrected by like a lightning storm in the coroner's office. And then it's later on he sees her. That's all like within like 10 minutes of like actual time. And then after the credits, like the opening credits happen, it's a year jump. And they don't do a good job of saying a year later, except for in dialogue going like last year when all that stuff happened. Like, because I remember it being like, I thought this was a year later. And then it's like in conversation, I'm like, okay. So again, another fumbling of trying to explain the narrative. Yeah. It could have been, you could have cut so much. I'm a broken record. Could have cut so much out of this film. Could have also explained the actual shit that matters instead of.
And not had Wonder Woman.
The brother, the mother, the fucking, you could have
changed the entire dialogue.
100%.
Yep. And then the other thing I thought was weird, and this is, Tasha, I don't know if you picked up on this. So there are 3 girls. They're supposed to be friends, right? They're all going to be going to this party together.
Oh, yeah.
And the one friend doesn't fucking show up. And nobody seems to talk about it in the storyline. So this girl gets offed, obviously, and we get to see that's the most extensive kill scene in the whole movie.
Yeah,
and
real quick,
but nobody talks about it.
I don't think I've ever seen. I've seen some fucking shit in films. I don't think I've ever seen anything as. I can think of one movie, but for the standard viewing public, I don't think I've ever seen anything as violent and as long as that.
Yeah.
To a teenage girl. That's
Right,
where
exactly.
I'm with Tasha with that. Like, why was that our choice?
So do you think that this movie is misogynistic?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
He has had some backlash about about the first
Yeah.
one and this one and stuff of it being misogynistic, in which he said that he by no means is that his intention.
I don't think it's intention. He's just a
Correct.
white guy, probably.
He's just a
writing
guy.
about-
Yeah. I know. But what I'm saying is, I didn't want to bring that up. The only reason I brought it up is because you girls basically just like ran that line into being like, this is fucking
It feels that
ridiculous.
way.
So you are on that not fence. You're on that fucking line of saying like, yeah, this film feels misogynistic.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say like the whole movie is, but there are definitely scenes like I don't need like we're thinking about their high school girls and we see the main character like in the shower.
Yeah,
And then
that is strange.
and then the girl is in her bra and underwear getting completely mutilated,
Yeah.
and screaming on the floor. So it's those types of things where I don't think I've ever seen torture porn, but this is like
But do you
Come on now.
Now here's the thing though. Do you look at the movies like Scream as misogynistic, like slashers in general as
Yeah.
misogynistic, because it's always high school girls. It's always like the final girl, right? The idea of, Rose McGowan with her fucking nips pointing out, trying to crawl out of the garage door, getting smashed into it. I understand the gratuity of this and everything. I'm not debating that. And by no means am I here to tell you girls that this is not misogynistic, because that's not my place. But what I'm saying is like, what is it about this that makes you feel that it's misogynistic, opposed to, we'll just use Scream because that's the one that I know that you've both watched.
Scream is supposed to be misogynistic because of who the killers are.
Is that more acceptable? I'm very interested.
Well, they're, for me personally, and then Tasha can give her point, like that entire drive is the drive of the character and their personality of who's doing the killing and what the necessity is. Mike Myers makes sense because of the Jamie Lee Curtis connection. So like his whole backstory and stuff makes a little bit more sense. But then in Scream, I don't want to give away,
You're
on
fine.
here who it is.
Just give it
I'll
away.
get it
We're
anyway.
in spoiler territory.
I know, but like
if you don't
for
want to
that-
hear Scream
for that
spoilers,
movie,
jump ahead 5 minutes.
yeah. So like when we have our Mr. Billy Loomis and all this stuff going on in that movie, it's like their intention was to be shitty to girls, and like they killed the guys also that were part of it. So they didn't just kill girls.
Was it to girls though? I thought it was specifically about Sidney Prescott.
It is.
Because I think that it was just anybody.
Because of her mom, but her mom was the driving catalyst for it. Well, then
Yeah.
she was the person, and then her dad got roped into it, like all this stuff. And it's based on the driving force of the character's narrative. And this character, we don't know anything about him and what his narrative is. And so his focus, realistically, other than the people that are just irritating him because they're present as men, for the most part, he's attacking the females intentionally, whereas the men just happen to be in the vicinity. The guy at the corner happens to be there when he's resurrected. He offs him. The guy, when he's stalking the girl, he ends up there. Guy pisses him off. He offs him. The guy at the thing at the end, he is with the girl's friend and with the girl, and he ends up ripping his dick off. Like all of those things.
I really think the only one that is I 100% get what you're saying. The only one that gets there to me though is the bedroom scene.
He intentionally stalks her.
I understand that. That's the only one that I'm talking about, because like we can't take our protagonist and brother, like, because it's dad things probably, right? But every single other person is like, you kill the guy and then he pulls the girl out and he's gonna kill her right there, but she runs off. So he's like, well, fuck, I'm gonna chase after her. It's not that he's fucking stalking her on any other person or any other purpose other than that. All of the other kills are just happening. He's in the house and kills the mom of our protagonist, basically, I think because he's like probably going to try and kill our main leads and stuff like that, and she just happens to be there, kills her, does everything, then is trying to get the son, is going to fucking, that's where like the narrative could matter that isn't there, right?
Yeah, it's lacking so much.
The one that I do fucking understand, like the targeting and the malice behind it, is the bedroom scene. The rest of them, I think, is just all happenstance, personally.
I feel that way for the bedroom scene, the bathroom scene with Brooke, I think her name is, and with the extensive whipping towards the end, where Art is whipping the brother and the sister over and over and over again. And for me, where it toes that line is like you guys are talking about with it, there needs to be a reason, because otherwise it's just happening for whatever reason, just for people to get off on it. But at the same time, just the extent of screams and the length of that is what really pushes it over the edge.
Going to the whipping that you're talking about, right? We are, if we are to believe that Art is their father, right? Let's just say that is a fact, right?
Yeah.
We have already.
But that has never been. That hasn't been addressed. That hasn't been.
But I came to that
barely alluded to.
I came to that. I think it is. Like, I picked up on that watching it. This is not with research and stuff. I was just like, with everything that they're saying, I'm pretty sure that Art the Clown is their dad. Like, because like they even say like near the end he was extremely violent and started acting like all other stuff, like beat his daughter, all this stuff, and then the fact that he's literally whipping his children. I think that's the point of it. I'm not saying that, like, acceptable and like none of that. This is me just trying to draw a line that makes sense to me of like, why would that happen, and why would I think that's why. I don't understand like the driving force of why he's doing that stuff, but I think that's what makes the sense.
Maybe. I mean, I get what you're saying, like whipping your kids. That scene was also way too long. Like
100%.
Probably 10 minutes long. And the same thing with like, so the son, you know, he's alive.
We know that everything is way too long in this film.
I know.
So we'll just continue past that.
Yeah, sorry.
We say it every single
I know.
time.
I can't help it. It's terrible. But like in the scene, okay, here's another thing. I don't know if he really wants to kill his kids. Partially because
I think he's trying to punish them.
I think so too. I think he offed his wife. Like he was like, "Bitch, you be gone." And then he tries to, and then he
gave her a dose of "bitch, be gone."
Literally, he wrote "bitch" on her fucking windshield. So like he did all of that. So yeah, and then
I agree with her, or I agree with Art. If that's the purpose, she was an absolute.
She was a bitch. Yeah,
she was not a happy person.
And I do agree with you in saying that is the dad, and that they do loosely give you the information. They just don't hand it to you because, and the only way that it even draws that, and this is literally it, is that fucking notebook. The notebook shows all these kills, which I'm assuming are from the previous movie, and then like the torture scenes and stuff, and then him drawing himself, and then the daughter wearing that costume, and then her having the sword, and the sword having weird magical
I don't understand the sword at all.
It glows.
And was given to her by her dad. I don't understand the sword at all. Not gonna try.
I don't necessarily think that he wants. Maybe he's just a mental, like this is a mental health concept, and like maybe this friend that he killed, he had a problem with, a teenage girl or something, and that's why he did what he did to her. We don't know because they don't do anything to share with anything with us, but because he does stalk her, like he goes to her house to get candy and does all that. But with the kids though, the son is laying there on the ground, knocked out. The daughter got thrown in this water hell dimension.
Super
we
weird.
don't know what it is.
Understand it.
Makes no sense.
No sense at all.
I have no idea because I was trying to figure that out myself. Anyway,
she's back in dreamland.
Yeah, and then the boy, he could have just like chopped him up into little bits like he's done everybody else, but he's just lightly eating his hands.
And the kids definitely are bearers of, what was it, plot armor. Like hard. Like we cannot kill these kids.
Yeah, and it was like the dad. Yeah, it doesn't make, like, we'll whip you a bunch, we'll knock you out, we'll eat your hand. But we don't actually, like, when given the time to actually fucking off you, we don't fucking off you. Like, it doesn't make...
I wanted that boy dead. I did
too, dead. And I thought he was going to be, but he wasn't.
Me too.
I thought they casted him for the long neck for a reason, that like Art was going to like pull his head and spine out. Something, right? Like there's just no, we just get this like super fucking whiny kid forever. And you know me. Yeah. I fucking hate kids in horror films. You know, like I can't think of a single one that I like. But
so we watched a movie.
Yeah. So
people asked us to watch it.
At least you girls can just say that you've seen it, right? And
I wish I would rather not.
I know.
You wish you would rather not? That is a sentence.
Or I said that weird. I would rather not.
Yeah.
I wish I hadn't seen it.
What did Drew say about the movie, Tasha?
Yeah, didn't you say that Drew has like an irrational fear of clowns?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he walked in as it started and just goes, "Oh God." He watched the whole thing with me, but he and I are kind of in the same vein of just like, all right, here it goes.
I'm glad you had someone to watch this with, because I can't imagine you watching this by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be pacing the room going, okay, here we go.
Well, I could barely watch it by
when's
myself.
When's it gonna be over?
Yeah.
I could barely watch it by myself. Not that I was grossed out or anything. It's just like literally like the idea of a tractor pull. It's like we're going, but then the weight just keeps getting closer and we're just like not building momentum.
Yeah.
It's almost like Damien was like, you know what? I fucking hate my fans. I'm just going to make this take forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You know, like people fucking love this though. And you know what? More power to you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You
know what?
You love what you want to love. That's fine.
Okay,
Right.
We're going to go into reviews.
Yeah,
Okay?
that sounds
And
great.
I
got a
will
whole
go
list.
last. I will go last because I can only imagine that I'm going to give this a better review
Yeah.
than you two women. Like that's it.
For sure.
I don't
All right.
care. So
hold on.
So Natasha, lead us off. The floor is yours.
We
you
gotta
talk
guess what she's gonna
specifically. You talk specifically to Brian because he was the one that said,
That
"I
started
want to
this.
hear Natasha's take on this film." So you,
All right.
Brian, here you go, buddy.
Listen here, Brian. You know, it was absolutely the worst 2 hours and 17 minutes I've had in a very long time.
Yeah.
It's the only reason this is getting a score higher than a 0
Oh my god!
is the costume scene, the costume shop scene.
Yeah.
With him putting the glasses on. That was literally the only thing I liked about it.
Okay.
Starting off, I wanted to end it within the first 10 minutes. So the fact that I persevered and watched the whole thing,
We should all
I deserve a prize.
We should all give Tasha a round of applause for actually getting through Terrifier 2. I am very proud of you because there is no goddamn way.
Oh yeah,
I thought that this
we
would
were
ever
sitting
happen.
in the living room last night after we finished the movie, Tasha, and Nick was like, "She's gonna tell us she doesn't want to finish this movie, and I'm gonna kill her if she says no." And I was like,
And then later
yeah. Then you texted us, and he was like, he was in the bedroom, I was in the living room, and I hear him go, "Told ya!" And I was like, she's gonna get through it. It's fine. He's like, I know she will, but God, I was like, it's fine. Like we all don't love certain movies.
Yeah, I
It's
literally
okay.
walked into the living room and I was like, Tasha's going to want to tap out of this and it's going to piss me off. And then like 10 minutes later, it's like, can I DNF this? I'm like, I fucking knew it.
I know.
Why would anyone want to finish this movie?
I know.
Of course I didn't want to finish it.
I know.
Yeah, this
what
is not-
what are
this
we
is not your
guessing
thing.
What are we guessing Tasha's rating this?
I think Tasha's going to give it a 2.
I think she's going to give it a 1.
I'm giving it a 1.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Nick,
Really? A 1?
what do you expect? Yes, a 1.
I expected a 2 specifically because you said you liked one scene.
And that's where the 1 point comes from.
No,
Yes.
1 is that it's a movie.
No. That's Nick's ratings.
It's a movie, so it gets a 1.
Yeah.
No, this is hardly a full thought out movie. This is obscure, gory nonsense
Yes.
with like some words peppered in throughout. There's no cohesive storyline.
Nope.
It's you're there for art, and I don't want to be there for art.
I don't either.
So you're telling me that you do not appreciate art?
The clown. The
I
clown,
didn't say
guys.
that. Do not put
Natasha.
words in my mouth.
I and Natasha do not appreciate art.
I'm going to cut
Yes.
that out and make sure that that's the bumper for this episode. So there
Yeah. There you go.
I stand by what I'm saying.
we go. All right.
Okay.
A 1. Okay. It's going to take a lot of legwork to get this into. We say that you should check this out.
There's no fucking
Because
way.
you shouldn't check it out.
No.
You're
And if you
straight up
have
saying.
checked it out,
Are you
yeah,
are
for
you
those that
saying
have
that,
seen it,
Are you saying that this
for
is
those-
the worst movie that we've covered?
No.
yeah.
Okay.
No. Not for me.
Buffy had a storyline. The Exorcist has a storyline. This is purely, like you've said, Nick, this is a resume of special effects.
Yeah.
Cool. This isn't a movie worth watching.
No.
All right.
Yeah. I would recommend this movie to people who just want to watch a bunch of gore, and then that's their bag. That's about it. Don't go into this thinking you're going to get anything else realistically, and you're going to get a lot. Just have your thing ready to fast forward between the gore scenes, because realistically, that's what you're. I think you're going to know.
I think you're going to give it a 3.
Okay.
I say 2.5.
Okay. Yeah, I'm giving this movie a 3 because it was a movie. It had special effects, which were actually good special effects if they were applied in a better way. And I think I rated this like maybe better than The Exorcist. I agree with Tasha. Like Exorcist has a better narrative, but it's still just as long and slow as fuck and boring as fuck. And Buffy just wasn't really slow. It was just dumb. So I would have. This is one of the worst movies we've watched for sure, by probably a long shot, honestly. So yeah, I'm giving it a 3 because I'm just being nice today.
All right. What do you guys think that I'm giving the movie?
A 5. Tasha thinks you're giving it a 7,
Tasha says a 7.
and with balloons.
You think I'm giving this movie a 7?
With balloons. Let's see
You
if I
think
can do
I'm
that
giving
again.
it a 7? Okay, I'm giving this movie a 4.5.
Okay.
Okay. So it gets a 4.5 for very specific reasons. Okay. So for how I rate stuff is 5 is something that if someone this is going to be the last time that I watch this movie. I watched it once and never expected to come back to this.
Yeah.
I came into this, thinking maybe 5, and then just like in retrospect, I'm going like, so is there a time that someone's going to be like, hey, we're going to watch Terrifier 2. Do you want to watch it with us? I'm not going to. And it's not because it's too gross. It's because it's too fucking long. Mm-hmm. This movie is so fucking long. Like,
yeah.
goddamn. Like, how many times do I have to tell you people that a horror film does not need to hit 2 hours, let alone a fucking splatter film? God damn it.
Their sweet spot's about an hour and a half.
The special effects in this movie are fucking great, though. If it weren't for that, this movie would be far less. Art the Clown is a charming killer. I can give it that. Like, in that sense of like, fucking like, I laugh. Like, I laughed multiple times in this because of the absurdity. The fucking violence is just unfucking hinged. All that stuff, right? The fucking runtime in this movie legitimately pisses me off. Like, there's no reason. There's 100% no reason. Damien Leone, I'm not coming at you. What I am hoping, though, is that you've learned from that, because I know that he has been told, like, there are accounts of that of, like, yeah, it ran a little long, and da-da-da-da-da. Hopefully you fucking learn from that. Sometimes less is more, and that is this movie. Make it as gory as you fucking want. I've said that. I love gore, right? But it has to fucking work. And this movie becomes getting beaten over the head with a severed leg. I have nothing else to say other than that. If this movie were a half hour less, it would have been above a 5, but it is unacceptable at how long this movie is.
Yes.
Agreed. So guys, that gives Art the Clown and Terrifier 2 a 28%.
Oh, yay! About that
You said
too.
a 28, huh?
28.
Yeah.
So it's for some people. This is not the worst movie ever made. I mean, I can't think. I think Buffy got less.
It did. It did.
because like this is definitely for, as you said, Natasha, this is for a niche crowd. That is what is surprising to me, though, that niche crowd is loud and they want to spend money because goddamn,
They're a bunch of dude bros.
no,
Good for them.
I know plenty of women that like this movie.
Why?
Our cousin Jen, right?
Yeah, really?
I saw her wearing a Terrifier 2 t-shirt because she went to Horror Hound when we did. We didn't see her there, but I saw her post pictures. She was wearing a
Why?
Terrifier 2 shirt.
Why, guys? Why do you put
like-
yourself through this?
People fucking love it. This is for like it literally is just like I said. This is the Fast and the Furious of gore films. It is like I mean,
Other than it's not Fast nor Furious. I mean,
it's Fast and Furious. It's super slow though too.
I know.
But in those gore scenes, it is hectic and chaotic and just fucking right.
Yeah,
So,
in between snore scenes.
yes,
So-
very much so. It's
Okay. Well, there
20
now we have said we
28%.
watched it.
You know what? I
Yeah.
kind of expected that. I'm surprised we got over 25, to be completely honest. I expected you both to give it like a 1 and a 2. I expected Tosh to give
I was
it.
being nice.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Are we allowed to give half points? Like in the
Yeah,
sense
I've
of like
given quarters.
no, I mean
Yeah.
like
A half point.
yeah,
No,
like
I'd like
not
to
even
keep it
a
at a
1. So
1.
at least a 1. Okay.
Yeah.
So minimally a 1. Can't do 0.
Do you want me to bring a movie to the table that can get you girls to give it a half point?
No.
No. This was bad enough. We're done. I'm looking forward to watching movies I
I've got the Burning
like.
Moon back here, which is like basically this, but very mean-spirited.
No.
No, okay.
You already okay, so I know Tasha didn't like The Blob. I liked The Blob. That was a
love The Blob.
surprise. But we watched a fucking werewolf movie. We've had to
we
watch
did.
so much shit lately. Like I need a win. I need
You need a win?
win.
Well-
like the
Yeah.
craft. I mean, the craft was okay. I mean, that's just an oldie. I mean, I'm talking about like
The Craft was my Terrifier too.
kind of, but like I need a really good win, not just like
Well-
a mid.
Well, let's see. So, homework for next week
See.
Uh-oh.
is going to be Smile, that came out the same
Yeah.
year as Terrifier 2.
Okay.
That being
And
said,
was second on the top 10.
yes,
Okay.
the top 10 of money made. Again, though, this movie made a lot of fucking money on its investment. So if we're just saying dollars, then Terrifier 2 was really fucking popular too. So keep that in
Yes.
mind.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true.
See?
Yeah.
So, if you want to make that a measuring stick.
Yeah.
But I have not seen Smile. There's specific reasons that I will talk about in the next episode. Tasha, you have seen this. Stephanie, I don't believe you have, right?
Nope. I had no desire to, so this is gonna be interesting to see what this
Oh,
is.
great.
Yeah, so this will be cool. So we'll
Yeah.
find out something.
Well, are we
So
are we doing our thing?
Nope, we are going
Okay.
to save that for our bonus episodes
Okay.
because we are going to be starting a Patreon as of September 9th, I believe,
Okay.
is what I've got it kind of going at.
Okay.
You will be able to view the video of our episodes. There's going to be bonus content. There's going to be ooky spooky story times and things of that nature. And the details of that will be coming in short. So
Okay.
all that being said, we will be watching Smile. With all that being said, for Pod of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
I am Stephanie.
And I'm Natasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.